Hello and welcome to a new video. It's me, Martin, and today we're going to be looking at the grammar point of to and enough and how to teach it in the classroom. If you do enjoy this video, please let me know in the comments and hit that like button. It'd be great to know whether you really do enjoy this new grammar series of videos and whether there's any particular grammar points that you want me to focus on in a future video. Whenever you start any grammatical point and you want to introduce it to students, the context is key. So whenever you introduce to and enough, I would start the lesson by introducing a variety of pictures that illustrate particular adjectives. So for example here, I've got a variety of different flashcards. So cold, for example, heavy, expensive, sour, and then try to elicit from students the particular adjectives. When you've got students thinking about the particular adjectives and you put them up, try to think about situations when students could be tired, for example, and get students to talk about the last time they were tired, or the last time that something was noisy, or the last time when something was spicy. Once students are chatting to each other, just monitor them and just make sure that they're just on task and you're correcting with pronunciation, all that good sort of stuff, you know. Anyhow, the next step is to try and introduce the grammatical point. Imagine a conversation between two people and someone comes along and says, "Come on, I need that report written." How would this person who is tired respond? Is it and elicit the sort of response from the students? Then, you know, the sort of response that you might get is, "I'm so tired, I can't do it." "Come on, you might love an Indian curry." "No, not for me, they're really spicy." But we're not really touching upon the particular grammatical point of to or enough. So if the sort of elicitation doesn't work and students don't come up with that particular grammatical point, then it's best to introduce it. So, "Come on, let's go for an Indian curry." And you go, "Nope, they're too spicy for me." Yeah. "Come on, let's go for a run." "It's too hot in the summer to go for a run." So introduce to as in a synonym for, very, or it's too hot. And then the next thing that you need to do is, okay, I'm too tired to write a report. Okay, is that person tired? Yes. Can they write the report now? No. Would they be able to write the report in the future? Yes, possibly after they've slept. So they are too tired to write the report. Once you've done the concept check-in of the particular language point of to, start to introduce the language point of enough. So she hasn't slept enough, she's too tired. So students can see the difference between to and enough in that context and how it's constructed. Once you've introduced the variation between to and enough, for a couple of examples, get the students to have a look at the other flashcards in pairs or small groups and get them to think of a situation with the grammatical point enough. It's too noisy, it's not quiet enough. He's too cold, it's not warm enough. Once you start to elicit particular examples from students, they start to comprehend and understand how to and enough is used in that context. Once students comprehend the grammatical structure of to and enough, hand out a worksheet which consolidates this grammar point. Get students to complete the basic gap fill exercise with to and enough individually, and once they've finished, get them to check in pairs or small groups. Once students have compared the gap fill exercise and you've checked as a whole class that they're on task and they've completed it successfully, move on to a worksheet. Hand out a sort of situation per pair or small group of students and get students to think about how they would use to and enough in these certain situations as a complaint. So for example, Get students to think about English food, and you could say, oh, it's too salty, there's not enough variation. Or a job, your job, and get students to complain about their job. So too and enough. Give students a bit of time to write down their ideas in pairs or small groups, and once students have written down a couple of ideas, elicit from all students, the whole class, and board up their ideas on the whiteboard. As a final sort of activity, if you wish, you could get students to role play a situation. So at a restaurant, and you've got a customer who wants to complain about some food that they've served. Put students on the spot, put them in the classroom at the front, and just sit back and allow these pairs of students to complain amongst each other, or play that situation ad hoc, spontaneously. Get them to use the language that you've been teaching. That is how I would introduce and teach Too and Enough for a class of intermediate, maybe pre-intermediate students. Okay, so that's it for me today, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode on teaching grammar of Too and Enough. If you did, let me know in the comments, and hit that like button. It'd be great to see your sort of response. If there's a particular grammatical point that you want me to cover on, how would I teach a particular grammar point, let me know in the comments, and maybe your comment will be featured in a new future episode of Grammar Teaching. So take care, stay safe, and happy teaching. Bye bye.